Armored Core 6 had a press showing recently, and some people are mad. Press got to see a fair bit of one of the game's missions, and then a short snippet of that was shown to the public. This has left some excited and others upset. If you follow other creators who cover Armored Core 6, you might have seen videos popping up about whether the game has too many new elements that seem too Souls-like. Most of the hubbub is about features like repair kits, camera lock-on, and boss fights. Part of the Armored Core community thinks these elements are too far a departure from the DNA of the series. Creators are getting lambasted for calling it a Souls-like. Diehard fans are mad and betrayed. It's all very melodramatic. And I'm here to add fuel to that fire. Because I was right. Armored Core 6 won't be a Souls-like, but it will be a Sekiro-like. I didn't play the demo myself, but multiple creators who did play it say that it has an impact or stagger system, which is essentially straight from Sekiro. A while ago, I had reviewed some interviews from Armored Core's game director Masaru Yamamura, who was also the lead designer for Sekiro. There I had concluded that this game will share some similarities with Sekiro, and now I'm glad to be confirmed in my reading that Armored Core 6 will be a Sekiro-like. In case you missed it, I'm being a bit facetious. Yes, with the new elements, Armored Core 6 may be more like Sekiro and the Souls series than previous AC games were, but it is likely not going to be a purebred Sekiro-like or Souls-like or anything like that. Just because there are some new elements which build off of FromSoftware's past decade of new experience making games doesn't mean that this is going to be a sci-fi mech Elden Ring. Besides, 2023 already has one AAA title that's a sci-fi reskin of a fantasy RPG. We don't need another. There's already been significant discussion about each of the new mechanics and speculation about how they work. This has been done better by people who actually played and saw more of the game, so I won't be delving too much into a breakdown in this video. Check out Vati or The Lore Hunter if you want to see more of that. But let's keep in mind that these creators are not making definitive statements about what Armored Core 6 is, and that makes sense since even they only saw a small slice of the game. It is generally pretty poor practice to make large assumptions about a game before much gameplay or review has come out about it. Yes, we can be skeptical or cautious consumers, but that is different than making sweeping judgments about a game because we're worried just how Souls-like a few new mechanics are. I'm basically echoing what others have already said, but decrying this as a Souls-like is premature. Even with these new mechanics, plenty of new games incorporate similar kinds of features and manage to not be super Soulsy. Part of it is just the progression of game development in the industry. Now, if you want to go around calling Armored Core 6 a Sekiro-like, then be my guest, since that would be pretty funny, and I assume it would rile people up even more. But actual judgments about the game should be held until the mechanics are shown more in depth. That might be in another gameplay reveal, or it might have to wait until press reviews of the game go out and get talked about. Since we're basically 2 months out from release, it's not wild to assume that process will start fairly soon. FromSoftware had massive success with Elden Ring, so economically they should be in a pretty safe area. Armored Core 6 has been in development for a while, so it's not 100% influenced by that success, but it's still granted a cushion to be a bit more of a niche title, kind of like FromSoftware's version of one for them, one for me. Armored Core doesn't have to check all the boxes that Elden Ring did. It doesn't have to be the same massive mainstream success. But at the same time, it's not surprising that it would take some mechanical influence from the dev work FromSoft has been doing for over a decade since the last entry in the Armored Core series. After all, the old Armored Cores can be a bit unwieldy when it comes to controls. So some mechanical updates were bound to happen. And at the same time, they don't mean that what was core to the old games has been completely abandoned. Let's remember, I am 1 for 1 when it comes to Armored Core predictions, so I'm gonna make another one. Armored Core 6 obviously has some influences from Sekiro, Elden Ring, and Souls, but it would be pretty wild for it to not have its own identity. Otherwise, why would FromSoft even make it and not just Elden Ring 2? So we can place a safe bet that Armored Core 6 will have plenty of Armored Core spirit and DNA, making it a different experience than what FromSoft Souls fans are used to. Obviously, nothing is certain till the game comes out. It could be a bait or even just a bad game. We've seen the mighty of the game industry fall before, and it could happen to FromSoftware too, even if I don't think it's likely with this game and what we've seen so far. But the informed prediction coming from the self-proclaimed GOAT of Armored Core guesses is that it will be a genuine Armored Core game with a good chunk of mechanic updates that will likely make it appeal to a wider audience. The horror at that thought. This wider audience will probably have more overlap with Souls fans, but I would bet the general gaming audience will find it easier to get into too. All that's left to see is where on the line of janky Armored Core DNA versus streamlined appeal it falls. So that's all I had to say for this video. No surprise, I was right. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons for their support, and I can't wait to play Mecha Sekiro-like 2023.